Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This time I will present a case report with the title The Successful Management of Laryngotracheal Stenosis by Bronchoscopy and Topical Mitomycin C application. As we know, laryngotracheal stenosis is a condition where there is a lumen, narrowing of larynx and trachea. This condition can cause severe patient morbidity due to airway obstruction leading to respiratory distress and difficulty breathing. Laryngotracheal stenosis can be congenital or acquired, most often as a complication of endotracheal intubation, tracheostomy, or due to neoplasm, autoimmune, and infection. Trauma is most common in the larynx at the level of the cricoid cartilage just below the vocal cord. This area cannot expand under pressure and is thus more susceptible to pressure necrosis and scarring. Treatment is dependent on the site of involvement and the degree of stenosis, and it ranges from endolaryngeal surgery to open surgical repair. The choice of surgical procedure in the management of laryngotracheal stenosis is often dictated by the individual anatomy and function of the larynx and trachea, together with patient factors and available facilities. Management typically demands the combined involvement of various disciplines. In this case, we collaborated with pulmonology and ENT head and neck surgery, bronchoesophageology division. Case report: Mr. A, 22 years old, complained shortness of breath with basic stridor and a fistula in the anterior colli with a diameter of 0.5 cm and cicatrix around it at 2018 on January. He had a history of severe head injury from falling from a motorcycle, underwent craniotomy surgery with prolonged intubation and tracheostomy during treatment in the intensive care unit on January 2017 and decanulation on 7 months later. The patient developed dyspnea 6 months after decanulation. The soft tissue colli X-ray shows soft tissue swelling at level of cervical cord until fifth. The patient underwent emergency tracheostomy. Fiber optic laryngoscopy is difficult to assess the subglottics and trachea, and then it is decided to bronchoscopy, which showed subglottic stenosis to the trachea. Grade 3 laryngotracheal stenosis with obstructive lesion, 71 until 99%, according to the Kattenmeier classification. The management of laryngotracheal stenosis is performed using flexible bronchoscopy through a Goodell cannula attached to the patient. Injury is performed first on the surrounding scar tissue using bronchoscope forceps until the lumen of the stenosis begin to widen. After the scare is induced, mitomycin C was applied topically on the injured edge until it looked white. Then wait until 2 minutes. Both procedures are repeated after 2 minutes. After the procedure, the patient condition gradually improved. The stridor was not found. A bronchoscopy was re-evaluated 1 month after the procedure. The lumen of the stenosis was quite wide with flat and smooth stenotic edge. Then 1 year, 8 months later, the cannulation was performed without a complication exist. There was only a skin cut at the anterior colli. The last evaluation after 3 years of topical use of mitomycin C, surgical airway reconstruction, we found the patient was having a good quality life without stridor or sign of respiratory distress. The cannulation site are also clean and decayed. Fiber optic laryngopharyngoscopy examination was performed earlier, but no stenotic tissues was seen. Currently, the patient has resumed his usual activities and very productive. The discussion, laryngotracheal injury that occur due to endotracheal intubation or tracheostomy may result in temporary reversible laceration and edema or leave behind a chronic scar resulting in laryngotracheal stenosis. Patients who are intubated endotracheally for 2 until 5 days have an incidence of chronic laryngotracheal stenosis of up to 2%. Those who are intubated for 5 until 10 days have an incidence 4 until 5%, and those who are intubated for more than 10 days have an incidence 12 until 14%. It is suggested that tracheostomy can prevent laryngotracheal stenosis in patients requiring endotracheal intubation more than 10 days. This is diagram of the potential site of pressure-induced endotracheal tube injuries in the larynx. Diagram A illustrated about maximum pressure is exerted on the medial aspect of the arytenoid cartilage. And diagram B illustrated on the other side of predilection for pressure-induced necrosis include the posterior laryngeal commissure on the posterolateral and circumferential subglottis. Endotracheal tube cause pressure injury to the glottis and may result in severe commissural scarring that is difficult to treat. In this case, the occurrence of laryngotracheal stenosis due to prolonged intubation and tracheostomy, which result in an excessive pressure effect on the mucosa and cartilage, causing an inflammatory reaction and ulceration resulting in fibrous tissue and necrotic tissue resulting in cicatricial formation. Bronchoscopy examination in this patient found stenosis in the subglottis and the trachea with a very small lumen diameter, almost completely closed. So that it was diagnosed with laryngotracheal stenosis, grade 3, Kattenmeier classified laryngotracheal stenosis based on the decrease in tracheal diameter by assessing changes in the size of the endotracheal tube, mentioned grade 3, lesion causing obstruction 71 until 99%. Flexible bronchoscopy was performed for patient to identify the type, location, and severity of the stenosis. The operative endoscopic method can assess the degree and severity of stenosis as well as monitoring the success of treatment. The use of laryngeal endoscopy is the mainstay of treatment of laryngotracheal stenosis. The procedure includes steroid injection, laser incision for stenosis, dilatation, and application of mitomycin C. Many surgeons perform a combination of procedures. The management of laryngotracheal stenosis is varied and needs to be catered to each patient needs, depending on the type and severity of stenosis, and also the existing comorbidity. Laryngotracheal stenosis due to post-intubation lesion is an indication for either endoscopic surgery or external reconstruction or open surgery. In this case, open surgery should be performed. One option is to install a T-tube. This cannot be done due to limited tools and material available at our hospital. Therefore, the patient is advised to be referred to another hospital that provides complete tool and material, but the patient refused to limited funds. Then the other execution was the topical administration of mitomycin C using bronchoscopy in collaboration with the pulmonary and ENT head and neck surgeon, bronchoesophageal physician. As we know, topical application of mitomycin C, a potent fibroblast inhibitor, reduce granulation tissue formation and prevent recurrence. Mitomycin C, which is isolated from Streptomyces capitopus, acts as a bifunctional alkylating agent, cross-linking DNA, thereby inhibiting DNA synthesis, both in vitro and in vivo. Mitomycin C has been proven to be a potent inhibitor of human fibroblasts at concentration of 0.4 mg per milliliter. The action of applying mitomycin C is only done once but gives good result and without complication. It was seen during the evaluation using bronchoscopy 1 month after the procedure. The edge of the stenosis was smooth with a fairly wide tracheal lumen without cicatric, and the patient had been free of complication, free of complaint for up to 8 months. Then the cannulation was performed. The last evaluation after 3 years after the procedure, the patient quality of life was very good without any complaint of shortness of breath and stridor again. At the conclusion, laryngotracheal stenosis discovery case, obviously life-threatening disease and must be treated immediately. Laryngotracheal stenosis, a preventable disease, it can be prevented by proper care of patient in intensive care unit, correct technique of endotracheal intubation and tracheostomy. In this case, the patient was treated with topical mitomycin C through bronchoscopy, guiding and relatively giving an excellent result and symptom-free period for 3 years. Thank you.